I love to see it. You guys are awesome. Good on everybody in the chat right now that's spamming the W Deans for being good faith. I bet there's actually quite a few Republicans down there that are being good faith right now, dropping the W Deans too. Okay? Because of course you should combat bad actors that don't care about intellectual discourse, that just want to say that apparently I don't care about grape or murder because his statements was irrelevant to my position. Good on you guys. What's up, The Rock? Did you vote for Trump?
I did not vote last election, but I would say that Trump would be the better
Okay,
president.
how old are you?
I'm 20.
20. Phenomenal. Okay, well, I guess before we get into our debate, I have a load of donors to thank here. I do really appreciate everybody that's donated over the course of the last 2 hours. I was just locked in with the conversation with Lumberjack. The negative commenter, thank you for the $5 over on YouTube Super Chat. That's very kind of you. As well as Sid with the $100 donation over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much for the love, Sid. I want to see 1,000 W Sids. Crampton with 129 SEK, and then Mallory with a $14 as well. Annabelle with a 10, Envy with a 2, Kate with a 5. And I guess we'll just go ahead and stop there and kind of get this guy's argument, and we're just going to break it and segment up all the donations from you guys. Because if I didn't, I'd probably just be thanking you guys for like 5 minutes straight. Just know that you guys are awesome. Anyways, The Rock, why do you support Trump? Why would you have voted for him?
Yeah, I think his abortion stance is stronger than like Kamala's stance.
So you think that abortion should be left up to the state?
Well, I would support a federal ban, but I would rather have it left up to the states.
Do you think that abortion should be banned in all circumstances or just selective circumstances?
No, I'd give like an SA medical exceptions.
Okay, so why do you think elective abortions are wrong?
Yeah, I think that there's an obligation that the mother has.
Okay, why?
Yeah, well, it would just be based on like causal principles.
Okay, well, I don't think that you could have an obligation to a non-person, and I don't think that the fetus is a person until around 20 through 24 weeks.
Sure, what's a person?
Yeah, I mean, I just define personhood to be resemblant of an entity that has the capacity to deploy sentience. There'd also probably be some traits of like being of a species of a higher rationale. But for a working position, I just don't place any moral value onto the fetus until around 20 to 24 weeks. And for that reason, I don't think you could have an obligation for it until that point. I would like to say, though, do you think that the mother has an obligation to provide for the means of her offspring from the moment of conception?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay. So you think that like a zygote has the right to life?
Well, yeah, I think the right to life is kind of irrelevant in this stance, but yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so if like a woman has an IUD that prevents the implantation of zygotes into the uterine line and killing them, you think that that mother is culpable for murder?
Well, I would say that if she already had got the IUD, like if she has it now, I don't think it would be pragmatic to, arrest her for murder, but I would say that...
That's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you if she should be arrested for murder. I asked you if she is a murderer.
Oh, I mean, if you that just depends on the semantics of murder, but
well,
yeah,
it depends on how you define murder, which you told us you do think if zygote has a right to life, and like seemingly this mother is like violating it and killing it, which I'd see is no different from like killing a newborn baby under review. So is that
like I was saying, that just depends on the semantics of murder. Under my definition of murder, I would say yeah, probably, because I would just define murder as some sort of like unjustified killing, but I know like some people will define it as like a legal term.
Okay, do you think that all murderers should be in jail?
Yeah, I would say if you unjustifiably kill somebody, yeah, you should probably have some sort of legal repercussions.
So sexually active women with IUDs should probably go to prison.
I would say that, well, I already answered this. I said in the beginning, it probably wouldn't be pragmatic to arrest everyone who currently has an IUD. So no, I don't think that just because you've gotten an IUD previously means that now we should arrest everyone with that.
Okay, so you don't think that all murderers should be in jail then? So the contradiction in your view is now that you think women with IUDs that are sexually active that have killed zygotes are murderers, and that you previously shared with us that you think all murderers should go to jail.
Wait, okay, you're confusing two things. You're confusing applied with normative ethics. I think normatively, yes, you should probably be in jail if you're a murderer, but obviously I don't think we should apply all normative norms.
So I'm asking you about your like normative position, like, and
Right. And
is
I'm
your
saying
normative
yes.
position on women with IUDs
Yes, and
that cause guys
I
go to
already
jail?
told you. I already told you that yes, they probably should have some sort of legal repercussions, but that doesn't mean that it would be pragmatic or that I think that,
We
we
could
should
we could have
apply
a
this.
conversation about applied ethics later. Right now, I'm just
Right.
asking you about your normative positions.
Yes, and I already told you yes. My answer is
Okay.
yes. I
Okay.
don't think
Yeah.
we should apply this though,
Yeah,
but
and that's
yes.
and that's like and that's the absurdity of your view. I think it's
You
very
explain the
absurd to say.
absurdity?
I think it's quite absurd to say that all women with a form of birth control are murderers that should be locked up.
Yeah, explain the absurdity. You just said it was absurd. Explain it.
I need to explain to you why that's absurd.
Well, yeah, if you're going to make a claim that it's absurd, you got to support that claim, yeah. That's
Okay.
how it works.
Okay. Well, I'm here to talk to serious people, so we're gonna go and move on to the next guest. Dude. Okay. Yeah, someone in the comment section just said, "Stop wasting my time." Yeah, bro, that's obviously clear. Holy shit. Are you kidding me? Dude, what is up dude, what's in the water, man? If I have to explain to you why it's absurd to label every single sexually active woman with a form of birth control as a murderer that should be in jail for the rest of their life, I'm just going to choose peace and move on. It's a damn fluoride, man. These guests have been drinking all their fluoride. Hey, by the way, I really appreciate the people that are spamming Eldeans in the chat for self-reporting. Women, watch out. And I mean that seriously. I mean that super seriously. I know that was framed as like a type of joke, but it is a very serious one. What's up, Austin? Did you vote for Trump?
I also did not vote as well in this election.
Would you have voted for Trump?
Honestly, man, I don't know, dude.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you for coming up. However, we are only looking for individuals that either did vote for Trump or would have voted for Trump. But I do appreciate you for your time. So we're going to go to move on to the next guest. We got Cage loading up in. Hey, what's up? Did you vote for Trump, Cage?
Yes, I did, Dean.
All right, Cage. Before we get on to it, I just want to thank more of the donors. Brandon with a $10 over on Super Chat. Ryan with a $10. By the way, these are going back from literally an hour ago because I had no time to thank individuals while I was debating Lumberjack. But also, Janet, thank you so much for the $50 donation over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much for the love, Janet. You are phenomenal. At least 500 W, Janet's. 100 W's for Kelsey and 200 W's for AMA. Thank you for the love, AMA. And then another 200 W's for AMA. That is so incredibly kind of you. And then Charlie with a 50 pounds. Everybody, please show some love to Charlie. And then Nargina with a 70. Thank you so much for the love, Nargina and Charlie. You guys are phenomenal. Crispy with the 30 Canadian dollars. And James with the 50 Canadian dollars. Desi with a 10. Kat with a 10. And then Carmen with the $50 super chat. Guys, show some love to Carmen. Show some love to James, to Charlie. You guys are all so incredibly phenomenal. I love you guys so much. Then also Kendall with the $20 on Venmo. And Natasha with the $50 on Venmo. Huge shout out to Natasha and Kendall. Gabby with the $5. Kat with the $20. And Sam with a 5. Thank you guys so much for the love. And then Brian and Thomas with the $20 each over on Venmo. Thank you, Brian and Thomas. And then AJ with the 25. And then N with the 20. And we are all cut up on Venmo now too, guys. Thank you so much. And then Sydney and Nicole both with the $5 on PayPal. Let's get a huge W for all of our donors. You guys are so incredibly kind. And we are now officially caught up with the donations. Huge W's for everybody. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much. But Mr. Cage, go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you voted for Trump.
Hey, Dean, I got a question real quick. What percentage of illegal immigrants use fraudulently obtained social security numbers? What do you think that number is?
James, thank you so much for the $20 super chat over on YouTube. 200 W's for James. James says, I don't like putting them chemicals in the water. They turn MAGAs dumber than they already are. That's right. Take all the chemicals out. Thank you for the $20. If I had to guess, it would probably be below 1.
Below 1? No, it's 75% of them.
Dude, what kind of bullshit is this?
That's according to Center for Immigration Studies. Is that a good source or no?
I would love to see it. What do I look up to find it?
CIS.org,
So CIS,
Center for Immigration Studies. Yeah.
mission studies percentage of undocumented immigrants with fake SSNs.
Fraudulent obtained social security numbers. It's how they get jobs.
Okay, so no, you could work as an undocumented migrant on a work permit through an ITIN. And then also
Okay, but you
I'm
said
seeing here.
1%, right?
Yeah, I don't see anywhere where it says 75. Like, would you be able to give me like the title of the article? Because I just looked up Center for Immigration Studies percentage of undocumented migrants with fake SSNs, and unironically, nothing popped up.
How Social Security and Doge can help expedite deportations.
Okay, I found it. So this is actually just on their blog. It's written by a guy named Robert. And interesting.
Okay. Okay. So is
Anyways, let's
that
go ahead and read.
but you
Okay.
think it's 1%, right?
Okay, so it says here 75% of illegal aliens, wow, use fraudulently
I know you hate that word,
obtained
don't you?
social security numbers to get jobs. So it makes a claim. Where's the evidence for the claim?
I mean, what do you mean? You need evidence for everything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What,
So,
what like what kind of evidence would you need for this?
um,
It's a claim. It's a .org. What more
wait,
is
no,
it fraudulent?
this is just a claim made by a guy named Ronald on their blog. Where's Ronald's evidence? You understand that, like,
You make claims. You also make claims with the same kind of evidence, with the same kind of with no proof.
no,
Yes, you do.
like what?
Like your claim of how many grape victims a day from the guy Samuel. What's his name? Samuel something.
Are you saying like my claim
Where's
that
his proof at?
60 great victims per day are denied
Yeah, where's
access?
his proof? Yeah, where's his proof at?
Oh, that's a great question. So the evidence
I
for the
know it's a
claim
great
that 60
question.
great victims per day are denied access to abortion, this actually
Yeah,
comes
where's
by
his studies? Where's his claim? Where's his proof at?
Ronald did a study.
You mean Samuel?
Samuel, I forget his name. They did a study. And like the way that they conducted their
They
study,
did a study.
yeah, and the
Yeah,
way
how do
that
you just study that?
of course. So the way that they conducted their study was by looking at like on the macro scale, like the level of the amount of pregnancies in which, sorry, the amount of like grape cases in which would lead to pregnancies, and then once they were able to obtain how many grape cases would lead to pregnancies, they then went into states where abortion was banned in all circumstances, and they accounted for the amount of grape cases in this state to then
They just wrote
arbitrate how
all
many
that.
of those would be
Dean, I
pregnancies.
already read all that.
And then
They
they
just
went
wrote all
in
that.
to abortion clinics like prior to the ban, and they said, well, how many individuals that come in here are here because they got raped and they want an abortion? And then they took those two facts: how many grapes lead to pregnancy, then how many pregnant grape victims get abortions, to estimate
Dean,
how
they
many
just
grape
wrote all
victims per
that
day
in
are
the
denied
article.
access.
Dean, they just wrote all that in the article. I read it.
So
There's no actual studies. There's no
this
actual
would be
proof.
data. This would be data coming from crime stats on the state level. This would be data coming from the abortion practitioners, such as Planned Parenthood.
That sounds good on paper that a person can just write.
So
That
it's
there's
it's.
you're
I
still
mean,
not giving no
you
you're
you
still not giving no
so
proof though.
so the evidence comes from public state records of like crime stats, and the evidence comes from like the exit polls from abortion clinics and Planned Parenthood. You Planned Parenthood
Okay, and
gives
then
us
this okay, and
one
then
moment. Planned Parenthood gives us statistics on the demographic of individuals that use their resources. Like we know that 54% of women who get abortions from Planned Parenthoods do so because of the failure of contraceptives. We know that 73% of women that go to Planned Parenthood to get abortions already has a kid and has been in at least one long-term relationship. It's because Planned Parenthood makes those statistics public, and when we study those statistics, see how many of those were a result of grape, compare that to the amount of grape cases in the state, and understand how many grape cases lead to pregnancy, like the estimation of 60 grape victims every day becomes clear. And like this is completely different than some random dude named fucking Ronald making a claim on a blog.
Yeah, he also says the Social Security Administration and DOJ can identify individuals using fraudulent obtained Social Security numbers to help expedite deportations and stop illegal alien-driven crime. So I mean, it's the same exact thing you just said. They just added it into an
Wait,
article.
wait. Look at this. I'm actually looking at what you're looking at on the computer right now. So Ronald says roughly 75% of quote unquote illegal aliens have fraudulently attained SSMs. And then do you see how the 75% text there's blue? Because it's a hyperlink.
I don't know what you're looking at.
I'm looking at the same thing that you're looking at. So Ronald
No,
actually
you're not. Nothing's
hyperlinked.
highlighted what I'm looking at.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Okay, why are you lying? Anybody could go on Google right now, type in Center
Yeah.
for Immigration Studies, how Social Security and
Right.
the DOJ can help expedite deportations. Go to the first thing that pops up in Google. The first big paragraph says roughly 75% of illegal aliens have fraudulently obtained SSNs. The 75% is blue and hyperlinked to an article by The Hill that is titled Most Illegal Aliens Routinely Commit Felonies, which is all like alt-right propaganda. And there's not one statement anywhere in this
Propaganda?
piece
Okay.
that talks about
Okay.
how many undocumented migrants
Your
are fake
study
SSNs.
is propaganda, Dean. Your study is propaganda.
Wait,
Like I can
actually,
easily say that about you can easily say that about
I'm
anything.
actually going to critique the methodology already. So Robert's source is a Hill article which states that undocumented migrants, 75% of undocumented migrants commit felonies. That's his evidence, is a claim that 75% of undocumented migrants commit felonies. And that's the evidence that he's using to say 75% of undocumented migrants have fraudulently attained SSNs.
So you think it's only 1%, Dean? Really? That's crazy. That's insane.
If I had to
That's
assume, it'd be
insane if
less
you
than
think
1%. But I've now completely
that's insane, bro.
I've
Okay,
now
so
completely 1 second. I've now completely disputed
No, you haven't.
your evidence.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
No, you haven't.
Because the
No, you haven't.
Ronald,
All you did was just add.
Ronald gives his evidence. Ronald's evidence for Ronald's claim is a random Hill article that also doesn't give any evidence, but merely says that 75% of undocumented migrants routinely commit felonies. Let's just assume that the Hill article is truthful. I don't think it is. Let's just assume that it's telling the truth. 75%. So now we know that 75% of undocumented
Of course, you
migrants
don't believe it.
routinely
You
commit
don't like to
felonies.
believe anything.
Of course I don't believe that, because their arrest rates are 2 times lower than citizens, and 75% of citizens don't commit felonies. If they're committing all these felonies, why the hell aren't they getting arrested for it?
Because they're undocumented.
Okay, so you think if
What do
you're
you
an
mean?
undocumented migrant, you're just immune to getting arrested?
No.
Thanks.
But it's crazy how you think that 1% is using fraudulent SSI, like I mean
Wait, you asked me.
SSNs.
You asked me to
crazy,
make.
bro.
You asked me to make an estimation. Okay, my estimation could be wrong. I'm not the one making a claim
Yeah,
about
right.
like how low it is or high it is.
Of course.
But what I
Of
am
course you
saying
would
is that
lowball it
you don't have
below
any.
1%. Come on, bro.
Okay, you don't have
Really?
any evidence to indicate that 75% of undocumented migrants have illegally obtained social security numbers.
Okay. And you don't have any evidence that how many rape victims a day?
Okay,
Like
I've already
what?
given you my evidence for that claim. I was able to walk you through it. It basically reduced down to public fact provided by Planned Parenthood, crime stats per state, and like the propensity for pregnancy onset by grade
Dean, you
3
just read an
pregnancy.
article, Dean. That's all you did. That's all you did.
I was looking at facts posted by state governments and crime stats, particularly by the FBI. What the fuck are you talking about?
Dean, you just read an article. That's all you did. You
Are you
stated what
giving
somebody
up?
wrote,
Okay.
and it's the guy Samuel,
Cool.
whatever his name is.
Cool.
Right?
He's just giving up. Okay. Do you have any other reasons why you voted for Trump? I'll let you move on.
Well, since we can't talk about trans, right? Can't say anything about trans, right? You'll get kicked.
Right. We cannot talk about T issues on the live.
But what about border crossings? How do you feel about border crossings right now
How do I feel about border crossings right now? I mean,
under
I feel,
Trump?
yeah, I
Under
feel like
Trump.
Donald Trump has never proposed anything to Congress in his first term or second term
Yeah,
to
zero piece of
effectively
legislation passed.
to
You're right.
effectively reduce undocumented migration in the long term. Can you name one piece of policy Trump's ever set forth to effectively reduce undocumented migration into America in the long term?
Remain in Mexico. What was wrong with that? Biden shut it down too, right? What was
The
wrong with remain in Mexico?
The Remain in Mexico policy dealt with asylum
You asked me to
seekers.
name one. I just named one.
So I asked you to name a policy that reduces undocumented entry into America in the long term. The Remain
That's
in Mexico.
exactly what that did. What are you talking about?
What do you think the Remain in Mexico policy did?
Jesus Christ, bro.
Just be honest if
Do I
you
have
don't
to
know.
do I have to tell you what remain in Mexico is, Dean?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Your only argument against this is what about the asylum seekers running from Mexico? That's all you have to say
just
about
answer my
that.
question. What did the Remain in Mexico policy do?
Exactly what it says, Dean. For them to remain in Mexico
Who's them?
before during due process, the asylum seekers you
Asi-
supposedly say.
Thank you. Are asylum seekers
Right.
undocumented migrants?
Are they all asylum seekers that were there? That's the real question,
Dude,
right?
even asylum seekers with
Anybody
claims.
can say. Anybody can say. I'm not. I don't want to.
Dude, if somebody comes to our border and makes a false claim of asylum, they're still not an undocumented migrant. Like, listen. Here's the deal. The Remain in Mexico policy essentially wanted to keep asylum seekers in Mexico during their processing.
I like how you like to
and
pivot and during when we were talking about border crossing, though. Good job,
What?
Dean.
You told me, I asked
Good
you to
job,
name
Dean.
one bill that reduces undocumented migration in the long term. You say the Remain in Mexico policy. So now I'm explaining why that's not a policy that reduces undocumented migration in the long term. I literally said the Remain in Mexico policy, and then you interrupt me and tell me that I'm pivoting when I'm literally talking about what you just fucking mentioned. Are you rage baiting me?
Yes, Dean. I'm so rage baiting you.
Oh my
I'm
God.
so rage baiting you,
You
Dean.
want me to go bald. You want me to go bald.
You're already going bald.
Not yet. It's thin. It's not thinning.
Okay. Why did you kick that last guy though? That was a real interesting conversation, bro. Like genuinely.
Yeah.
That was a
Wait.
real
So
that, like
I've
that
had
was
two
a
other guests on the stream.
genuinely good
I've had
conversation.
two other guests on my stream, and I've
No.
kicked them
You
both.
have to admit that you ran from that guy.
Which
That
the
was a
guy
good.
that said I don't
That was
care
a good.
about the guy that said I don't care about grape, or the guy that said
Bro.
it's
Hey Dean, be
which
honest.
one?
Be honest. You were looking for any reason to kick that guy.
Which
Be
one? Who?
honest.
Lumberjack
You
or
know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about.
There's been
Don't
two
act
guests on the
dumb,
live that
Dean.
I've kicked.
Yeah,
Cage,
that you talked to for
calm
like
the
4
fuck
seconds.
down. There's been two guests on the live that I've kicked. I kicked Lumberjack, and then I kicked the last guest. Which one are you referencing? The guy I was
Not the
debating
one
on
that you were
abortion,
talking to
or
for 4
Lumberjack for
seconds.
2 hours?
Not the guy that, yeah, exactly. Not the guy you were talking to for 4 seconds,
Okay,
Dean.
so you're talking
Come
about
on,
Lumberjack.
get real, bro. Get
Yeah,
real, bro.
so I kicked
That
Lumberjack.
was genuinely a good conversation, though, to be honest. Like,
So some
I'm
parts
going to keep it 1,000.
some parts of my conversation were with Lumberjack were good. Like, for instance, when I first
Yeah.
started talking to him and he was making a billion false claims about E. Jean Carroll, and I was able to prove them all wrong, and he conceded, that was good. It felt good to see somebody that is so hell-bent on being
Nah,
right
I
and
don't.
being so willing to
E.G.
engage
Carroll's
in
a whack
conspiracy.
job. We could talk about that, too.
Yeah, you're gross.
Oh, you're going to kick me, too, right? You just look for any reason to kick people, bro. And then,
You just called a great victim a whack job.
yeah, due to her interview after everything happened, yeah, she's a fucking whack job. You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Okay. First things first.
I want to
First
ask you a
things first.
question. How would you feel if you had a daughter that got raped, and then there was random grown men on the internet calling her a whack job? You'd do a lot more than kick them from a live stream, wouldn't you?
If it really happened, I'd be furious. You're absolutely right.
Moving on to the next guest. Let's go ahead and see what Vanessa has to say. Yo, Michaela, thank you so much for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. 200 W's for Michaela. Michaela says, hey, Dean, I saw you eating at Culver's the other day. Butter burgers with cheese curds on me in celebration of Susan Crawford's win from Wisconsin with love. Oh, you saw me eating Culver's the other day. Oh, yeah, I had Culver's on stream. Thank you, Michaela. I really do enjoy Culver's. Their butter burger double plain is my go-to order, and I love the absolute hell out of it. Thank you for the love, Michaela. And then also James, thank you for the $20, saying last 20 I'll send, but you missed so many super chats that I'm hoping you'll read the messages associated with them. I actually do go back and I read the messages associated with any and all donations once I'm done on stream. I always do that. And then also Wendy with the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you for the love, Wendy. I think that you're phenomenal. At least 500 W Wendy's, 500 W Wendy's. Thank you so much, Wendy. You are so fucking cool. Thank you, Wendy. And then also Cameron, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo saying love watching you. Thanks for keeping the people informed. Thank you for the love, Cameron. By the way, if you're watching and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo and the PayPal and the link tree in my bio on TikTok. You could also find them in the pinned message on YouTube or in the link in the bio. But on YouTube, you could also support on Super Chat. But what is up, Brian? Did you vote for Trump?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, we are just looking to debate Trump supporters. I do appreciate you for joining me. If you are in that queue, make sure that you voted for Trump, y'all, as we are just looking for some debates. And Lauren, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo. You were phenomenal. We're going to get the next guest loaded up into the box as we speak. Everybody do just be patient. We have an army of people in here right now, literally over 9,000. So make sure that you are double tapping away on that phone screen, everybody. What is up, Caleb? Did you vote for Trump?
No, I just wanted to say hey.
Okay, goodbye. Moving on. Here we go, you guys. Lulu, thank you so much for the $10 super chat over on YouTube. You're awesome, Lulu. Thank you so much for the love. All right, everybody. If you're MAGA, go ahead and hop in that queue, spam MAGA in that chat. You guys already know. Just looking for some debates today. Of course, the Trump voters are terrified. Quite frankly, what's up? Did you vote for Trump? Sabrinth is not here. Moving on to Cole. We got Ronaldo loading up. We got MCM loading up. Everyone just seriously be patient. We'll get the next debate going ASAP. Don't she even worry. Yo, what is up, MCM? Did you vote for Trump?
Which you continuously race as the lower place racers get eliminated until you ultimately have a winner. And lastly, you're able to
Okay,
free
dude's
roam
watching
maps.
like YouTube on 2x speed. We got Chasey Boy loading up in. I really need to use the restroom. I'm hoping that we could get a guest up here to debate, and then I could get like a friend up in the box just to cover me for like 30 seconds. Okay, we got Steph loading in. We got Chasey Boy loading in. Everyone just be patient. Everyone just be patient. Everyone just be patient. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We got Sergy loading in. Isn't that funny how we could have 9,000 people watching the live and not one person willing to debate? I think that's quite hilarious. Yo, what is up, Sergy? Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, sir. Yes, I did.
Okay, why so?
So, just to put things forward, originally I am from Ukraine. I have moved to the United States in the early 2010s and got my citizenship in 2016. One of the main reasons was due to the fact that I thought voting for Trump would help to solve the issues, as I do still have family over there on the eastern side.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was in the middle of texting my friend to see if he could come up here and cover me while I use the restroom. So I was only half listening. But let me make sure I heard you correctly. You voted for Trump in the interests of your family living in Ukraine.
Yes.
You're trolling.
Actually, not.
Is it in the interests of your family to either be ethnically cleansed, pushed out of the region, or forcefully assimilated into the Russian Federation through annexation?
So, actually, thank you for mentioning that point. Talking about ethnic cleansing, have you by any chance have seen or read articles of Ukrainians turning onto each other?
No. What does this have to
no.
do with what I
Okay.
asked?
So, even though I am originally from Ukraine, the eastern side of Ukraine, even going to school, the first language is Russian.
Okay. So
And it has been.
because they teach Russian in some regions
No.
of Ukraine,
No, no,
therefore
no, no.
you voted for Putin's puppet?
No. If you speak Russian while in Ukraine right now, you have risks of, number one, being beaten up on the street. Number two, there was a whole church of people who got locked in and the church was burnt when people were fleeing from the eastern side of Ukraine into the western side. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't. I haven't. A lot of people in my chat are saying that that's a lie.
Do they have family there?
I actually, unironically, did just see somebody say that they are from Ukraine and it's not true. But here's what I'm going to do. I really need to use the restroom. I'm going to be right back. Santana, I appreciate you for covering me. I'm only going to be about 30 seconds, yo.
Oh, he ran. Well, guys, listen, we have a runner. Super interesting. Not sure why. With that being said, let's get Dean up to what, 2.5 million before he gets back. Tap the screen. As soon as he gets back in, we're gonna get some people in here to have some debates. I know, guys, listen. Oh, thank you for the unicorn. That's freaking awesome. Listen, save it. I'm actually battling tomorrow, battling Jessica Simone at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Save the gifts. Come by, help me win this battle. Anywho, let's take care of Dean. Keep tapping the screen. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 2.5 thousand likes. Share the screen out. Also, guys, if you can hear me over on YouTube, you can support over on YouTube. Send a super chat over on YouTube. Go ahead and give Dean, send him some donations. Guys, no, don't send me the stuff. Wait for tomorrow. You can send me something tomorrow. Send it to Dean. Guys, make sure that we're appreciating him because I've been listening like you've been listening, and these people are brutal. We understand that. And now, with that being said, if you're actually someone with an iota of intelligence, if you're someone that actually has a little bit of debate in you, if you're someone that can actually substantiate a point, if you're someone that believes in Donald Jimothy Trump, then get in the box. Get in the box. We need you in the box. Dean is looking for some debates. We know for a fact that you want the smoke. I mean, we understand that Trump debaters aren't the best, right? We understand Trump supporters aren't the best. But if you feel like you can actually substantiate anything, 1 point, just 1 point, get in the box. But guys, do not request up if you are friendly. Dean is looking for some debate, so keep tapping the screen, share the live, get the likes up. There
Did
we
he?
go, 2.5 million. Dean, he left before you walked off. As soon as you called his bluff, boom, he's gone. So I've been, ripping this whole time.
Yo, dude, L guest, but W Santana.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
L guest, but W Santana for holding the fort down while I was using the restroom. See, like typically, if I was to get up and go use the restroom real quick, and I was just to leave it with like empty space, nobody's talking, nobody's doing anything, I would walk
yeah.
back to like 3,000 people have left in the
Listen, I
last
was
30
trying to hold
seconds.
on to the numbers, Dean. They were kind of dropping.
Dude, Santana, you're an icon. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for the help. Keep the W Santanas in the chats flowing
yeah,
for at
yeah,
least the next 10 minutes for that.
yeah.
I really appreciate you, man.
Yep, I'll be listening, bro.
Cool. Take care, bro.
Yep.
Yo, what is going on, Mr. Toby? Did you vote for Trump? Toby is not here, so we're gonna move on to the next guest. Quite frankly, dude. Oh my gosh. Okay, I feel so much better now, you guys. I feel so much better. I've needed to use the restroom since I started my stream nearly 3 hours ago. So I'm probably gonna be a lot nicer to my guests now. I'm gonna be a lot nicer to my guests now. Quite frankly, the debates are gonna be much more productive. Quite frankly, moving on to the next guest. If you're in that queue, make sure that you voted for Trump. Make sure that you voted for Trump. What is going on? Bran, did you vote for Trump?
Yeah, I did. How you doing, dude?
Mr. Bran, you know what? It's been an all right day. Before we start here, I got to thank James for the $20 donation over on YouTube. Super chat. James says, I changed my mind because I figured out it would be too long for you to read the 250s I sent during the lumberjack debate. First of all, he didn't believe in anything and only obfuscated. I also DM'd you on TikTok for debate scheduling. Dude, James, hey, I really appreciate you so much for the love, man. If I miss those, I'm so sorry. Sometimes like donations just don't pop up on YouTube Super Chat. Let's just get some W's for James in the chat. Let's get some W's for James in the chat. And then also, Bran, go ahead and take it away. Tell us why you voted for Trump.
Yeah, first off, well, before we get into this whole thing, I want to say thanks for doing this, dude. I love when people are honestly willing to have like a true conversation about things and debate. I think civil discourse is one of the greatest gifts that the human race has. So, as far as voting for Trump goes, I mean, socially, obviously the guy's an ass. Like, there's absolutely no argument against that. Like, he's an asshole and he says whatever's on his mind, and he kind of needs to have a little bit of a filter. Economically, though, I think he's probably one of the best things that's happened to this country in a while.
Okay, I'm gonna
I know
give
you're
you.
gonna have a point about that.
I'm gonna give you my 35-second rundown.
What is this? I don't know why that was playing.
Okay, I just muted you. Feel free to unmute. Was he playing like his intro music?
No, I have no idea why that was playing. That was weird.
Okay. Anyways, I guess to get back to what I was saying, I think Donald Trump's bad for the economy because his tax policy literally takes from the poor and gives to the rich. Hurts anybody making under $395,000 per year, which is 97% of Americans. My source is the Institute on Economics and Taxation. I think Donald Trump is bad for the American economy, as he has inspired a lot of lack of confidence in American markets by American consumers. On the day of his inauguration, Atlanta Fed projected 4% GDP growth in the first financial quarter of 2025. A month later, that was at negative 2.8%. Today, it's at negative 3.7%. Projections are only getting worse. Goldman Sachs has also increased the likelihood of a potential recession in near American history. So that's why I think that he's very bad for the economy, quite frankly. Not to mention his plan for mass deportation, which also actively hurts and harms America.
Right. Well, we also do see, whenever there is a recession, right, there always is that the bounce back factor of it. That does happen. Whenever there's a deep recession, there also tends to be a great surge in the economy after that. When you look at the first term, I mean, pre-COVID, things were going great. But right now, I think the recession that we're about to get into is definitely going to be tariff driven. That's there's absolutely no doubting that. However,
Are you being serious?
I think it will be a net positive result because these tariffs are going to, I believe at least, that these tariffs are going to cause one of two things to happen, or two things to happen specifically. First, obviously, we're going to see a massive increase in the price of goods and maybe not services, but goods, yes. Definitely not as bad as services would be. However, what that's going to do is it's going to make it too
one second. For
expensive.
the people
Yeah, go ahead.
watching, can you guys, what does your bio say?
I have a special needs kid. Yeah.
Oh, is that that's like what it says? I have a special needs kid.
I'm a dad, and then I honestly don't even know what else it says in there.
Okay, I don't know. A lot of people in the chat were saying read
Yeah.
his bio.
Yeah.
I can't read the bio because I'm streaming off the computer, so I literally
Yeah,
just can't
yeah.
read
No,
my
my oldest kid has a rare genetic problem, but yeah. So, I think in the long term, what's going to end up happening is because of the fact that it's going to cost too much money to the consumer to use goods that are sourced from outside of the United States. It's going to drive jobs back into the United States. During Trump's first term, we saw that with a lot of the, John Deere is a big example. I live in Illinois. John Deere is a huge powerhouse for jobs here, and they've been closing down all of their plants left and right in Illinois for the last 15, 20 years now. When Trump was in the first term and he started talking about driving tariffs again that were around farm equipment, John Deere suddenly stopped closing their plants, and they're saying, okay, well, we're going to start manufacturing equipment back in the United States because it's too expensive to do business with these tariffs that are going. And I think we're going to see the same thing where manufacturing facilities end up reopening in the United States because, again, it is too expensive to make stuff overseas and have all the landing fees in the United States. Plus, the cost on the consumer is going to be way too high, and they're not going to buy that stuff anymore. So what is a company going to do? Shutter their doors and just go out of business? Or are they going to make business moves in a way that makes it more acceptable for them to be in business? They're gonna keep making money. Go ahead.
Okay, so first and foremost, 99% of companies that have operations outside of America will keep their operations outside of America, even in lieu of Donald Trump's tariffs, as it is significantly less expensive to continue operations overseas and just simply increase the price of their product or make the importer pay the tariff than to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars in investing in U.S. manufacturing plants. However, of course, I said 99, so there's still the 1% of companies that may be under very special conditions that will increase production in America. A good example of that would be companies that have inactive manufacturing plants in our country, like John Deere. And then additionally, even in the long term, I don't know if tariffs will yield good outcomes. The reason why I say that is because it shifts our focus away from comparative advantage, which is basically where we're focusing on making the goods that we're good at making. And it rather it kind of eliminates that, it forces our producers to make everything, and it creates a very inefficient, unproductive manufacturing I mean, that's just macroeconomics 101. And also, secondarily, even if you were right and it did drive more jobs to America in the long term, but it caused a recession now, well, there's something else we could do. We could just invest into the manufacturing sector of America, subsidize corporations with the intended purpose of them then taking that money and putting it into their employees, into their productive capacities to increase their productive capacities to make more goods cheaper to naturally price their goods back into American markets, which would achieve the goal you just described of tariffs, which you think tariffs will achieve. But that's without causing a recession now. That's without causing inflation now. And that's without taking money out of the pockets of any American making under $395,000 per year now. So overall, either way we look at it, tariffs are a bad idea.
Yeah, and I think that's it's one of those things that we're going to have to honestly, we don't have a choice but to see how it goes now, right? Like he's been elected in office, so there's no way to see.
Yeah, but my argument is
how
that the
this will
policy
play
is
out.
bad because
Yeah, no,
it causes very negative effects now, and it could quite possibly cause negative effects in the long term, reduce overall GDP growth by shifting our focus away from comparative advantage. But there's also other protectionist policy, such as subsidizing corporate America to boost their investments into their productive capacities, that would lead to a reindustrialization of America without causing the negative consequences that tariffs do, meaning that overwhelmingly tariffs are a bad idea and policy that you should not support.
right. And I'm not saying that your argument doesn't hold water, right? But I also think that like there's two different routes that it can kind of play out on.
Okay, so I'm just
One of
confused.
them,
Do you agree and concede, or do you disagree with reason?
No. I don't necessarily think that all of what you're saying is what's going to happen. I personally have the thought process that it is going to cause companies to bring manufacturing back to the United States.
Okay, so then rebuttal what I said. So then give me an argument against what I just said.
It's just personally what I believe. I mean, we have evidence that it's happened before.
I literally already accounted for that. 99% of businesses won't move back, not like because it costs too much. 1% of businesses will. It produces a lot of bad outcomes right now. But even if the tariffs were good in the long term for the reasons you're describing, there's other protectionist policy, such as subsidizing corporate America, that will yield the same or even better outcomes in the long term without causing any negative effects in the short term now, such as a recession or drops in the stock market, meaning at the end of the day, tariffs are bad as they are not the least harmful means to increase domestic production in the long term.
I want to dive into something that you had just said. You talked about subsidizing corporate America.
Yeah.
What kind of examples do you have of that? Or what kind of ideas, I guess, rather?
Yeah, so like the idea is you give corporations money, but they could only spend the money on making more goods for lower prices while paying employees more. That's all.
Right. But how? Like, what would those programs look like to you?
Like the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS and Science Act was passed under the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah,
It was a $28 billion investment into chip producers. And the hopes is in the next 5 years, we're going to go from producing 1% of the global chip supply to 20. I mean, we've already seen the plan materializing. Intel's already opened up new manufacturing plants in Arizona, as well as like the Farm Act, the Farm Bill under Donald Trump's first administration. So when he implemented his tariffs on China that destroyed U.S. agricultural exports because they just imposed tariffs back on us, it bankrupted American farmers. So Donald Trump bailed them out with the Farm Bill, which invested nearly $30 billion into them. So, I mean, we know that subsidizing corporate America works. We know that it boosts, like domestic output. And we know that it doesn't lead to negative consequences like a recession, inflation, stealing money from the poor and giving to the rich, or like plummeting U.S. stock markets. So in other words, it's basically the better alternative to tariffs. And if you still support tariffs, you're just supporting the worst alternative to achieve a goal that causes the most harm, which I'd say is pretty bad and irrational.
Yeah, I would probably, honestly, at that point, I would probably concede that there is definitely a better way to go about it. I think that's certainly a fair statement to make.
Okay.
Is that there's a better way to go about the end goal of what the tariffs are, or there's a better way to go about achieving that
So
end
do you have
goal.
any other arguments then? Because this kind of rules out tariffs as being a good argument.
Oh no. I don't think I would say that tariffs were a good thing to do. The end goal of the tariffs is admirable though.
So do you have any like good reasons why you voted for Donald Trump, still support him, etc.?
Yeah, the other part of it, I mean, honestly, like I'm a Christian guy, so the stance on abortion is also really admirable for me.
No, it's not.
For me.
No,
For
not
me.
even for you as a Christian. If I was a Christian, I'd be pro-choice. Can I tell you why?
Sure, go ahead.
Do you agree with the New Testament when it says all sins are equal in the eyes of God outside of blasphemy?
Yes.
So this just means that lying to your child, telling them that Santa Claus exists, is just as wrong as a woman getting an abortion. Should we criminalize and ban telling your children that Santa Claus exists? Probably not. So why should we criminalize and ban abortion? Seemingly, Christianity offers us no coherent basis to dictate a criminal justice system, so you should probably appeal to secular standard outside of your religious beliefs to justify banning abortion.
Right. So the reason why I personally agree with abortion is because of my religious beliefs, but that is not my argument for religion or not religion for abortions to be banned across the board.
You just said that because you're a Christian, it made you want to vote for Trump because he's restricting women's access to abortion.
That is my personal belief as to why it is wrong. Now, the argument for abortion is that it,
what? I'm so confused. Wait, no. You said because of your Christian beliefs, abortion should be banned.
I said because of the fact that I am a Christian.
Right, and I just gave you good reason.
Should be banned.
Yeah, now I just gave you good reason to believe that it shouldn't, even if you're a Christian. Should lying to your children, telling them that Santa Claus exists, be banned because that's a lie and you're a Christian?
No, because I don't push my own beliefs on everybody else.
So then don't push them on everybody else in the context of abortion bans.
I'm not. My reason for saying that abortion should be banned, like, and pushing that into a legal spectrum, is because it is murder, right? And as a society, we have to say that murder is wrong, right?
What's murder?
How do you want to define it?
The unjust termination of a human life.
The unjust termination of a human life. Okay, now how do we have to kind of drill down into that definition. So what is just or unjust?
Right and wrong.
Right. So how are we going to define whether or not murder, or we'll say homicide, because that's a much more easier thing to identify a definition for. So when is homicide right?
Okay, well, homicide is murder. Murder's never right because definitionally speaking, it's unjustified, meaning it's always wrong. And that's why I don't think that abortion is murder, because I don't think it's wrong. I don't think that a fetus has any moral value. And the reason I don't think that a fetus has any moral value is because before about 20 weeks, it has no ability to deploy any level of subjective experiences. And I just don't value anything about it. Like, what does it have? It's a human, okay. Oh, go ahead.
So subjective experience is the definition of whether or not a human life has value?
It gets a little bit more complicated than that, but on the surface level, yes.
But, okay, so then, and I hate using this argument because I know that it's got its problems. So we should be able to terminate the life of people that are in comas?
No, and this is where it gets more complicated.
Exactly.
The more complicated position is that I only value human lives that fall within a conjunct of traits, that being the possession of past or present and future subjective experiences. So because a coma patient has past subjective experiences and future subjective experiences, they have the right to life and it's immoral to kill them.
So
but a fetus doesn't.
How far into the future? Because I mean, if a fetus is, say, 26 weeks, in another 14 weeks, it'll definitely have subjective experiences.
We'll get subjective experiences about 20 weeks. So let's use an 18-week-old fetus.
Hopefully not.
I don't value a fetus at 18 weeks because they do not meet my qualifier of moral value, which is past or present and future subjective experiences. However, a coma patient would. So let me ask you, or I want to give my pushback. No, past or present.
Or two of the three?
So they need to have one of the two first traits, which is past or present subjective experiences, and they need to have the second trait of future.
Okay, so then what do we say a subjective experience is though too? Because we also know that like a 1 year old doesn't have subjective experiences, right?
Yeah, they do.
None of us remember things that have happened to us when we're less than a year old. It's not possible,
I don't
right?
remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday. Does that mean when I ate breakfast yesterday, I was not conscious?
That is a kind of straw man-esque because
What is
you
that?
do have previous memories from prior experiences,
Yeah, but you're
even though
saying
you
if
may,
you
even
don't
though you
remember
may
the
not.
experiences, I guess it wasn't as experience at all. So just because I don't remember the very low levels of subjective experiences I had as a newborn doesn't mean I didn't have a low level of subjective experiences as a newborn.
But that also doesn't mean that just because you don't remember one thing doesn't mean that you didn't remember everything. So if I'm 1 year old, I don't remember anything
Okay.
about the previous couple days or about the previous, year or
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't think having a long or short term memory is required for subjective experiences. Like I think that subjective experiences start at a very minimal level, like 20 through 24 weeks gestation, with the thymocortical connections. And I mean, dude, nobody remembers what they had expressed at 20 through 24 weeks. And I mean, this is like a conclusion that I've reached just based upon like the current consensus of neuroscience.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk this back a little bit. My whole reason for this is that when we define life, right? I believe like all life is sacred, right? And it all needs to be cared for, right?
Are you a vegan?
No, I'm not.
Well, shit. Life is sacred unless it's tasty, right?
No, it still is, and fortunately, God gave us animals to sustain us,
Right.
because we need protein.
So do you think that all human lives are sacred? Like, you know.
Yes,
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that medical professionals, doctors,
sure.
who specifically work with brain dead patients, are serial killers that are mass murderers because they've likely pulled the plug on tens, if not hundreds, of brain dead patients throughout their career, which is intentionally killing a human life?
What about it? Do I think that they're murderers?
Yeah. Do you think that they're serial killing murderers?
I don't think that they're murderers. Have
Wait,
they?
what?
Hold on. Have they committed some sort of act of homicide, or assisted in it? Probably, but
They're intentionally killing brain dead patients. Is that murder?
in that situation, I believe that it is just to respect somebody's wishes. Now, if somebody's family is saying yes, that is what they will have. That's what they would
Wait,
have
wait.
wanted. Then
What
absolutely.
if they don't have a DNR? Dude, I don't have a DNR.
It
If
dep-
I were to
That's
get up, if I were to get up from my chair, go downstairs, get in my car, go get some lunch from Culver's, and on the way I get T-boned, and all of a sudden I'm brain dead. I'm in the hospital. My mom, my family tells the doctor to pull the plug on me. You know, it's a complete and permanent cessation of all cognitive function. They just don't want to pay the bill, et cetera, et cetera. The doctor does it. Is that doctor a murderer?
No, well, so it depends. This is a very big. So I'm a paramedic. This is a very big legal area, right? So
And we're not
there's
talking
a
about
whole.
legality. We're talking about what your moral positions are.
My moral position. Your family knows what you would or would have not wanted,
What the
and
fuck? No,
so
no, no, no. My mom doesn't know. My dad doesn't know. My girlfriend doesn't know.
I'm saying though, if they're saying like reasonably, the doctor would believe that they would have known what it was that you would have or would not have wanted for your end of life care. So
Okay.
yes, they do have that
Well,
decision making
if family knows
capacity.
best, if my mom would know best for me if I was brain dead, why wouldn't my mom know what's best for me if I'm a fetus?
Well, then, and that's different though, because when you are a fetus, you don't have any kind of communication, right? So
Wait, no, neither do brain dead patients.
we have to afford that right of initial life to somebody that's not born.
Wait,
To an
neither do
unborn
brain dead
person.
patients. Brain dead patients have a complete, permanent, and total cessation of all cognitive function. What the fuck?
However, they would have had the ability to communicate those desires beforehand
I've
without
never
necessarily putting
communicated
them.
those desires of mine to my mom. If my mom instructed the doctor to pull the plug on me if I was brain dead, and the doctor did, would that be murder? My answer is no. What about you?
No, I don't think it is murder.
Great. So we're on the same page. So all that you're telling me is that no, you don't think that human life on its own is valuable because the brain dead patient is a human life, and you don't think they have the right to life.
Well, that's an extrapolation. They do have the right. People do have the right to life. That's why DNRs exist. That's why a durable medical power of attorney exists.
You think that brain dead patients have the right to life?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so a doctor pulling the plug on a brain dead patient is infringing upon their right to life.
No, it's not. If
So you're telling me that
Hold
I
on.
just want to get this one straight. You're telling me that you could kill someone with the right to life and it's not murder. That's completely incoherent gibberish, but for whatever reason I could contort that and make it for my point. Mothers can kill the fetuses in their uterus even if they have the right to life and it's not murder.
No, because we're talking about two different things, right? So I misunderstood what you had said earlier. You said in the situation that you were postulating, you were saying that you have never had any kind of communication with anybody that you have ever met in your entire life about whether or not you would have wanted to stay on life support or not. In that case,
I'm like 20. The last 20 years of my life has been spent growing up, playing Fortnite, going to school, hanging out with friends, and drinking non-alcoholic booze.
Sure. So if there's no evidence that you have communicated that would have been your desire, right, or nobody's making the statements that was your end of life, that would have been what you would have wanted in your end of life care, then no, they don't have the right to make that determination for you. And
wait, so if the doctor did pull the plug on a brain dead patient, do you think they'd be a murderer in that circumstance when there's not a DNR present via the patient?
Yes, absolutely. That's what we determined in
Okay.
Terry Shackleford
So
case.
I just want to go ahead and ask you real quick. So then you think that the hospital is obligated to provide care to a brain dead patient for how long?
Under EMTALA?
No, we're not talking under. We're not talking about. We're not talking about anything
indefinitely.
to do with legality.
Yes, they are.
No, we're not talking about anything to do with the current legality. We're talking about our moral positions.
Yes.
I'm asking you if, morally speaking, it is murder for a doctor to pull the plug on a brain dead patient.
In this specific situation, then yes.
Okay, so that's the absurdity in your view then, and I can demonstrate the absurdity even better because that also means that you think that a zygote has the right to life, correct?
How are we going to define zygote?
That's a unicellular human organism. It's a first stage of human development. I believe it's
A
more
single-
specifically defined as like a blastocyst.
So this is where we get off into the weeds. Personally, I believe that life starts at implantation, not necessarily at conception.
Okay, well, 97% of biologists disagree with you. So
that is what it is.
what? Wait, what do you mean it is what it is?
That's my own belief.
So why do you disagree with 97% of biologists?
Because as soon as implantation happens, that is when the zygote, right, is implanted and part of mom, right? That is when it has life.
Okay, I just want to clarify. Would you agree that organic material can only exist in two states? You're either alive or dead?
That I honestly don't know.
You're a paramedic.
As far as that goes.
This is like the most basic organic biology ever.
It depends, right? Because we're defining life as somebody that has
biological. So organic material can either be biologically alive or biologically dead. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Why did I have to ask it twice? I don't know.
How are you a veteran? I was a veteran because I joined the army.
Okay, listen. So if the zygote is not biologically alive until implantation, is the zygote biologically dead before implantation?
So it'd be alive before implantation.
There you go. So life doesn't start at implantation. Life starts at conception. So is it murder to kill a zygote?
So I'm saying that it's not murder to kill a zygote before it is implanted.
Why?
Because this happens.
Is that a unique, innocent human life?
This happens regularly, right? Where zygotes are fertilized, right? Where an egg is fertile and it's being brought into the uterus for implantation, and for whatever reason it is flushed out. So that doesn't automatically make everybody that has a miscarriage a murderer.
So it just, if it's not murder to kill a zygote because zygotes regularly die on their own, then it's not murder to kill a fetus because fetuses regularly die on their own. One
Well, I
out
mean,
of
without
4 pregnancies results in a miscarriage.
right, I'm saying that because I see where your argument is going, right? And you're trying to
Also,
walk
that's
me
just like,
into a logical corner here.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, this is just like a really weird principle for you to hold to. You're basically saying if there's like a demographic of living things that can die quite typically, it's not murder to kill them yourself. So this is like, imagine.
No, of course it's not murder, because murder again is the unjust killing of a living thing. And if nature happens, right, then it's
No,
not murder.
I'm asking you if I were to intentionally kill a zygote. Nature doesn't happen. I fucking slap a zygote on a petri dish. Nature doesn't happen. Dean Withers happens. That zygote get murdered.
Yes.
Should I go to jail?
If it was intentionally and like in malice, yes. Because here's the thing.
Oh,
Okay.
brother. So you think
So if I
one
if
moment,
I
one
get
moment,
you-
one
if
moment.
I
So you think that every single woman with an IUD, which is a form of birth control that will allow for conception sometimes and prevent its implantation, killing that zygote, all these women are murderers that should go to jail?
No, because again, it was on intent. The actual act of killing the we'll call it a fetus, right? Was the actual act of killing them was not intentional.
I don't think
right?
I don't think intent is
Again,
required for
this is
murder.
also why I think that there ought be a cutout
Wait.
for
Can
an act of what happens because of
I dispute that?
contraception.
I don't think that intention is required for murder. If I drank 3 beers and got in my car with the intention of going to the gas station to get a full tank, and I like wipe out a family of 5 on the way, were they murdered?
Intention is a significant part of murder, right?
Oh, were they
If you-
murdered?
Yes, they were.
But I didn't have intention. So no,
You
intention
did.
is
You
not a
did because
significant part of murder.
reasonable human being, a lot of what we define culturally and legally is what a reasonable human being would believe. A reasonable human being would believe that something terrible would fucking happen if they drank a bunch of alcohol and got into their car and operated it, right? Like we would say that that's probably a likely scenario that would play out that you ought to know about, right? And the intention isn't always deliberate. Intention doesn't have to be deliberate.
You just disputed your own view. You just called your own view unreasonable.
Why?
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because you're saying that women with IUDs that are sexually active, that know that IUD could kill a zygote, is not culpable for murder because the response of a reasonable human being would not be that of intention and malice. Meaning that only an unreasonable human being would find the death of a zygote onset by an IUD to be murder. You just called yourself an unreasonable human being.
Most people in general don't know how their specific contraception works, right?
You didn't talk about most people. You talked about reasonable people.
Yeah, reasonable human beings.
You're
how their contraception works.
So you're saying that it's a reasonable view to say that it's not murder to kill a zygote, meaning it is an unreasonable view to say that it is murder to kill a zygote.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
You said that it's a reasonable view to think that it's not murder to kill a zygote, which means it's an unreasonable view to think that it is murder to kill a zygote.
My brain's buffering. Hold on, I just got over the flu.
No, it's okay. Like this is a little bit more of a intricate position.
Yeah, but and this is the exact reason why I think that there ought to be like specific cutouts in it, right? We can't. It's not a simple one size fits all argument that can be made for it because there is a lot of nuance in there. Are you okay? There's a lot of nuance in that.
The anxiety pin just spit. Well, it's
nice. Yikes. There's no, I don't think that women that are, being responsible and using contraception should be, labeled as murderers. I don't think that that's right at all.
Okay, so then you're just saying it's not murder to kill a zygote.
No, I think that it is murder to kill a zygote, right? But there is nuance behind that.
You know what? Yeah, because you think the nuance is all about intention. I can guarantee that there is thousands, possibly. There's thousands of women who watch me that have IUDs that are sexually active
I do have a
that
vasectomy, by the way.
know that IUD can kill and does kill zygotes. And in fact, I would like you to say I or me in the chat if you're a sexually active woman with an IUD that will, when the next time you're sexually active, say, I'm going to kill this zygote. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill it with full intention.
I would like to ask what's an IUD.
What?
What's up, man?
You just mentioned IUD. Could you explain what that is?
It's an intrauterine device. It's a form of birth control to prevent pregnancy. One way it prevents pregnancy is by preventing conception, and another way that it prevents pregnancy is allowing conception and preventing implantation. I would like to ask you real quick, man. What time is it?
Sorry, my time.
Oh, are you not from America?
So, well, technically, I'm born in the US, but I'm living in Europe, in the Netherlands. Right now, it's like 1:20 in my time, but yeah, I've been watching for like the past hour.
Did you vote for Trump?
No, so that's my perspective, which I wanted to discuss. So,
Easy.
I wanted to discuss after
Easy.
Bran is done.
Dude, I'm so fucking sorry, man.
For
We're only talking individuals that voted for Trump.
yeah, but the thing is, like, I'm sort of, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not like fully like pro-Trump. There are like some things which I sort of disagree on, but that's like I wanted to discuss it with you. But after that, Bran was like fully done with his arguments.
Have you been on the live before?
I've seen you like I think like few times and like on those debates with what's his name, Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. Hey, yo. Just give us. You've been here for so long. Give us one of your positions real quick, and then I am gonna kick you because we're just here to talk to people that voted for Trump. You've
Yeah,
been
the thing
waiting
is
for
like
forever.
I
Just
haven't
give us
voted
one
for
of your positions.
yeah. So firstly, I haven't voted for Trump, but if I was like to vote, I think it's for me it's more logical to vote for Trump. But there are like things which I disagree on, especially placing those tariffs when it comes to abortion. So I'm pro-abortion. I do agree that abortion, everyone has like the right to it. Like a man just can't like ban abortion for everyone. But when it comes to illegal immigration and the economy itself, I do agree on like few things when it comes to Trump, especially because he's been president also before, and when he won. Sorry, English is my first language, so sorry for my accent. And when he
Bro,
was,
don't apologize. What is your first language?
so technically it's Arabic,
Oh
because
wow.
ethnically I'm Palestinian. Then short story. So I was born in Houston, Texas. When I was like 3 years old, I moved to Lebanon, and I've been living in the Netherlands for like the past 6 years. So right now I'm 19. I've been here since my 13th. And I'm not gonna say I don't care that much about like the United States, but I also like I would like to watch and like observe things, especially because I've been seeing you like many times on YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah. Well,
But
don't apologize for your accent, man.
because yes, I know sometimes people.
You can speak my first language. I can't speak your first language.
I mean, yeah,
So
it's
that don't apologize for an accent. Like I get why like people do that because like a lot of people can be like really like weird about accents and honestly like a little fucking hateful. But like, dude, I just think people that could speak multiple languages are cool as hell.
I mean, yeah, like also many people agree on that, but there are also like fucking what do you call it, like dickheads who think it's like sort of funny to like make fun of people who have like an accent while they speak like 3 or 4 languages. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Easy, I appreciate you for
Yeah,
coming
it's
up,
as
man.
it's as a.
I appreciate you for coming up, man. We are just gonna get back to talking to Bran and other individuals that voted for Trump. I appreciate you for sharing some of your perspective with us. And I mean, hopefully by watching the live, you could kind of like come around on issues such as, like immigration. I could give my takes on that. That comes up frequently, etc. Yeah. Anyways, Bran, do you want to pick up where you left off?
Yeah, no. So I want to do also easy marhaba. Glad to see another person on here from the other country, from other countries. Is awesome. So my whole belief on abortion is that no, if it's in the like if it's going to cause death or serious bodily harm to mom, then yes, obviously we need to take care of mom. That is always like the best case, is taking care of mom or preventing her from dying, right? That's always the good thing to do. However, I don't think that the answer to a lot of these issues, either whether it's
Yeah. Do you mind if I just
socioeconomic.
pop in here real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, I feel like at this point we've completely fleshed out a conversation about abortion. You were able to give us your take. You think that abortion's murder because it's killing an innocent life. You think that killing an innocent life is wrong. I kind of like led you to one absurdity within your position, that being that you have to say it's murder to pull the plug on brain dead patients, which you kind of bit the bullet on, which is on its own a little bit of an absurdity. And now we've kind of been running this into, like women with an IUD that could kill a zygote, and how under your view that'd be murder, yet you deny it with no reason. I was wondering if there's anything else you want to go over before I move on to my next guest.
No, take care, man. Have a good one.
All right, you as well, Bran. Everyone, just give us a minute to get that next guest up in the box. For the 7.7 thousand people watching the TikTok stream, you guys, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. We got Macy Ace loading up in. K, thank you for the 65 SEK over on YouTube. Cryptic with a 5. Lonnie with a 5. And then James with another $20 saying, when is Culver's going to start serving fetuses? Dude, that's not funny, James. Don't say that. EDS with a 17 Norwegian dollars, and then Christina with a $10. Thank you, Christina. Cryptic with a $10. Thank you, Cryptic. And then James with another $20. In fact, James with another $20 on top of that. So James with a $40. Thank you so much, James. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much, James. Dude, 500 James. And then Lonnie with a 10 and Nat with a 10. You guys are awesome. I feel like James is probably our most out-of-pocket frequent viewer. You've said some crazy shit, James. You said some crazy shit. What's going on, Q? Did you vote for Trump? Q, are you here? All right, Q's not here, so we're going to move on to the next guest. If you're MAGA, go ahead and hop in that Q for me, and we'll get you up here in the live to debate. Y'all, we got the next guest loading in right now. Kenny P, quite frankly, is loading in, quite frankly. Then also Lillian, thank you for the $20 donation over on PayPal, Lillian. Everybody, 200W Lillians. If you're watching and you want support, Venmo and PayPal on the top of the phone screen right there, as well as in the link tree in the bio and in the pin message over on YouTube and in the bio. What's up, Kenny? Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, I did.
Kenny, you are about 2 football fields and one very echoey bathroom away from your phone mic right now.
How about now? Any better?
Not really.
No?
But it's fine. Why'd you
Hold on,
why'd you vote for Trump?
Immigration, number 1.
Oh, no.
We don't need more people in the United States.
Nicole with $5 over on Venmo. Yeah, we do.
Why?
I mean, I'm just an American first, like patriot constitutionalist that wants to grow the American economy and increase the prominence on the global stage. And immigration really helps grow our labor force and gives our government more money to spend on our citizens. And what's going on, Kitty?
Nothing's going. What are you talking about? I'm listening to you.
Okay, and once it's Kenny.
Yep.
We're gonna kick Kenny. I'm sorry. Elise, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal. Thank you so much, Elise. You're phenomenal. Yo, what's up, Stacy? Did you vote for Trump?
My bad. I'm so sorry.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Rock, thank you so much for the cute little gift of the dancing kitty cat. Quite frankly. All right, Charlie's loading up right now. Let's get Charlie in the live. Let's see what Charlie thinks. How about that, guys? How about that? Let's see what Charlie thinks. How about that? Quite frankly, how about that? All right, doesn't look like Charlie's loading in. If you're in the queue, make sure you vote for Trump. You guys already know the rules. MAGA is scared, quite frankly. Doesn't want to debate me, quite frankly. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go. Everyone do just be patient. We're just trying to get any Trump supporter to come up here and have a conversation. It's proving to be incredibly difficult. Here we go, everybody. Lindsay, thank you for the $10 on Venmo, saying thanks for doing these debates. I appreciate you so much for the love, Lindsay. Everybody, please show some love to Lindsay down below. All right, yeah, 7.6 thousand people, not one Trump supporter to debate. Crazy work, you guys. All right. We're going to try to get everyone up. We're honestly just kind of accepting everyone at this point. James, thank you for the $20 donation on YouTube Super Chat, saying, we walk out of pocket so MAGA can run, being unironically as bad as our irony. So real. Thank you for the $20, James. Javier is driving, so we got to kick him out and move on to the next guest. W. James for the $20. W. James for the $20. Okay, let's get that one straight while we're getting the next guest up in the box. Also, please ask you guys if you are on that queue and you didn't vote for Trump to just leave so it's easier for us to find debates. Please, 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 please just, be kind and leave, quite frankly. It make my life a whole lot easier. I'm not going to lie. Look at that, guys. We have like 4 Trump supporters loading in. What are the over-under odds that one of these people's like, okay, I'll talk to him? None of them, bro. Look at that. Look at that, dude. I swear to gosh. I swear to gosh is crazy. Yo, that brought me back to my youth, bro. I remember when saying swear to God was a bad word. That's what the indoctrination of a Catholic upbringing will give you. Jeez, that was a slip. That was a slip. That was a slip from the childhood right there. Wow. Okay. All right. We got the next guest loading up right now. Everyone just be patient. Was somebody in the YouTube chat saying Mormon Freudian slip? Trey Catholic. Trey Catholic. Yeah, I was Catholic growing up. Went to a private Catholic school until high school. Fun fact. All right. Holy fuck. Why is it so hard to find a debate? Dude, what is going on? Is this real life? This is actually insane. We cannot find a debate for like the life of me. Dude, what the hell? Wow. Ken, thank you for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. Sorry, not YouTube Super Chat, on Venmo. Everybody, please show some love to Ken in the chat while we're getting that next guest up here. Wkins down below. Wkins down below, everybody. Oh my God, dude, Ken, seriously, that's very kind of you. Thank you for the love. If anybody else wants to support our channel, you can find the Venmo and the PayPal on the top of the phone screen. Finally included it in the graphic up there. Okay, what is going on with the queue? We're just going to do, I'm just going to like exit out of the box where I could get people up and just reopen it. All right, we got Randall loading in. I bet Randall will be here to debate. And Kyrie's also loading in now. Chelsea with a $5 on Venmo saying, quite frankly, you're the best. No, quite frankly, you're the best. Shout out to Chelsea. Okay, this is actually getting annoying at this point. Yo, everybody spam El Maga down below for being scared to debate. Can we get some El Magas? Can we get some El Magas? Wow, hello, Goals930. You're like the first person to load in the last 1,000 years. Did you vote for Trump? And they're not even here. You're joking. They're not even here. No, wait, they had to be here to accept the invitation. That means that they are here. They're just too scared to talk. Bruh. Oh my God, dude. People will request up to join my live, and they'll be in those requests for weeks just for one conversation. But then for whatever reason, the other 99% of the people in my queue are actual robots. What is going on? Dude, crazy work. Please don't get in that queue if you're liberal or you didn't vote for Trump. Please just don't do it, bruh. Especially right now. I have a feeling that we're going to be like fighting for a guest, and we're finally going to get one person to join, and they're going to be like, oops, didn't vote for Trump. Hello, Kat. Did you vote for Trump?
Oh my God, no, I didn't mean to be here. I'm so sorry.
How did I know? Have a good one, Cats. Have a good one. How did I know? How did I know the first and only person that was able to get into the live in like the last 15 minutes, the last 15 hours, the last 15 years, the 15 centuries was a liberal? Dude, crazy work. We're just still spamming everybody in the queue. Dude, it's like a free-for-all right now, by the way. If you want to come up in the live and debate about why you voted for Trump, There's never been a better time to join because the turnaround rate on the queue right now is crazy. I mean, we're like dumping 5 people every like 15 seconds at this point. What's up, Karma? Did you vote for Trump? Oh, you're joking, really? Is Karma not here? Karma, speak or I'm gonna ban you. Okay, Karma's not here. Sorry, bro, you're banned. Yo, Sweet More, did you vote for Trump?
I voted Keir Starmer.
Did you just say that you voted for KSI?
No.
We need to have a serious chat. There's currently 9.5 thousand people watching this live. 7.6 thousand people on TikTok. And then what is that? 2.5 thousand people watching over on YouTube. It's actually closer to 10,000. Bad math. And you're telling me that there's not a single human soul watching this right now that voted for Trump that wants to debate. See, now that's crazy. Now that is insane. That is a crazy fact that just blows my mind, man. Millions of Americans voted for him. Millions of those Americans use this app every single day. Barbara, did you vote for Trump?
No, didn't mean to do that. So sorry.
No worries, Barbara. And not one of them is willing to come up here and debate. Wow. I mean, just wow. Teresa, thank you so much for the $20 donation over on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love, Teresa. I want to see at least 200 W Teresas in that comment section. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And then also Sonia with the $25 donation over on PayPal. Thank you for the love, Sonia. Everybody, please show some love to Sonia down below in that chat. Literally right now. Holy shit, Sonia. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. W Sonia down below right now. Thank you so much. And then also Caitlin with a $15 donation on Venmo. And Noah with a $10 donation on Venmo. And then Chelsea with a $5. And then James with another $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you, James. You guys are all phenomenal. I think that we may have just beat the Trump supporters today. This may be like the first time this has ever happened on a Dean stream where we have over 10,000 people like live concurrent. And there's just not one person that wants to debate. Like, I mean, we'll give it a little bit longer before we make that like determination because we want to give an ample opportunity to anybody who would want it to come up here and have a debate with me. But it's like at this point, I think that we've beat the Trump supporters. That is crazy. We're just spam accepting everybody in that queue.
Hello.
Bella, did you vote for Trump?
I did not, but I do want to debate with you about the national debt.
Bella, this live is intended to debate Trump supporters, and when we like have a time frame of like 20 minutes where we can't get a single Trump supporter up here to debate, I'm incredibly unwilling to debate anybody on anything that is not a Trump supporter.
Okay, just thought I'd try.
But I do appreciate you so much for joining, and I do hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope you understand why. Moving on to the next guest here. Lewis, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. Lewis says, so happy you're here, Dean. Lewis, thank you so much for the love. $20 is a lot of money, man. That goes a long way. Just thank you. Thank you, Lewis. That is very kind of you. Everybody, please show some love to Lewis down below. Please show some love to Lewis down below while we're still trying to get the next guest. What's up, Valentino? Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, sir.
Wow, how old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay, why is that?
More so immigration and more so with the trans competing in sports.
So we cannot talk about T issues on the live. Your account will get banned. My account will get banned. We'll all be fucked. So
Okay.
you can just refrain from conversation there. Hope that 10 people in the NCAA was not your big concern voting for Donald Trump in this election. Let me run something by you. Can I ask you about a couple questions about immigration?
Sure.
Did you support the Laken Riley Act?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, that's like the only piece of congressional legislation on immigration Trump's passed so far.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about him sending all those people to El Salvador?
Fucking terrible. Are you kidding me?
Well, I would say that
He left. I didn't kick him. He just said, "Well, I'll say that." Stopped talking, and then left.